Hello, everyone, and welcome to honestly, the first ever. It's a first for a couple of things. It's the first video. It's the first what will eventually become live streamed. It will be the first show that I've put a ton of effort into. Um, yeah, it's a first for a lot of SWW stuff. Partially because we were supposed to be doing this in a couple of weeks down in Atlanta, so it would have really been the first live version of this. And it was for MomoCon.
That's
Obviously,
true.
yeah, that's not happening. I'm AJ.
I'm
That
Mike.
is Mike, and you can see each other now.
It's, we can't see each other, so
Yeah,
we don't know what we're doing, which makes it really
yeah.
funny.
Um, this is our panel. It's everything sucks. Don't worry, it's awesome.
Okay. General notes as we go into this panel for everyone's warning. Per MomoCon rules, this is a PG-ish panel, which means we will control our language roughly and what we say and what we
Yeah,
show. But just general note, this is PG-ish is the rating of this panel.
yeah. We're not going full R that we did at GDEX. Because it's just this is a bigger audience
Mm-hmm,
that we can get this to. And B, we can't show stuff.
mm-hmm.
Partially because of Twitch guidelines. So this wonderful thing called copyright, we can't have clips or songs or anything like that from stuff that we're gonna show. So we're gonna do our best of describing why these things are bad, but it's okay.
Yeah. So as we said, everyone, this is Everything Sucks, but it's awesome. For everyone that doesn't know, the general rundown of the panel works is we're going to go through a bunch of our favorite mediums, which is TV, films, games, and talk about not the best of entertainment, but something we get joy of. And it seems really fitting now that you need to find enjoyment in stuff in this post apocalyptic world we live in. But AJ, who are we?
The SWW Show is a show hosted by myself, AJ, Mike. We have a sister show that focuses mainly on movies called Movie Club. Check that out. Those the SWW Show and Movie Club are on everything now.
Yeah, so we are on podcast services around the globe. We are hosted through Anchor FM, so we have, I believe, on 19 podcast networks. Obviously, bug them or bug us if you want us on more. That includes Spotify, iTunes, Google Music. But yeah, that is roughly who we are. But who we are personally. So yeah, as we said though, this Video Podcast is a podcast about just about everything in the digital world of media, games, movie, TV show. As we said though, AJ and I have been recording for some time. I guess it says 5 years. I don't believe this number, but we're gonna go with it. But yeah, we've been doing the SWW show for about 18 months, and we've been doing pretty well. We keep growing, we keep doing more. So yeah, we're excited to do this with you. General background stuff for the record. I am a game and software developer. I currently do more simulation work, but that's my background. So like that's kind of like know a lot of people either in the industry or know kind of industry practices from that. And AJ, what tell the people roughly who are you? Who is this
What
AJ we speak of?
my background is film and production, to film and TV production.
Hmm.
I like to say film production, but technically it's film and TV. So I know a lot of that, how that stuff works. Which is like when you know how it's the thing when you know how the sausage is made, you want to be a vegetarian.
Do you mean how I could look at any video game and go, why is this
Yeah.
here?
Or I can look at, movies and be, oh, I can see through your CG.
Good segment into our first segment of the podcast. A bad movie isn't always bad. And then I added the subtitle. A lot are though.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not a lot of very good movies. If we're being, you know, realistic. Um, but like I look at bad films, especially like excuse me, the ones that we're talking about, at least from my point of view, as being bad for their own good in a way. Like for example, The Room is really bad, but in a weird way, like that has helped its success.
So immediately I looked at your list, right? On a
Yeah.
fundamental level. We'll get into your nice little speech in a second here. 3 of the 4 movies I blindly understand why are on this list.
Okay.
So I'm gonna immediately make you defend your fourth pick.
which is every scary movie style parody.
No, I'd be fighting with my family.
Fighting with My Family is a bad movie.
Well, okay, no, I agree on that part. That's not the part I disagree on.
Okay, of the
Why is it in
four,
the bad movie is good
yeah,
character
it's the only
categories?
one that's bad, and it's not for its own good.
Right. This is what I'm questioning.
But anyway, The Room is like the whole reason it's popular anymore. Like the reason The Disaster Artist came out is because it's bad. It's one of the worst movies ever, but it's for its own good. Like its success has like the aura around The Room being such a bad movie is what makes it popular. What makes it it's a reason that there's these like um watch parties.
Hmm.
It's like cult watch parties. I was gonna say it's almost on the level of like Rocky Horror, but
It's
Rocky
different
Horror
'cause
is enjoyable.
also Rocky Horror, I feel like it knew it was ironic.
Yeah.
That like I think
Oh,
it's a phone difference in the way if you want to go in the back door for a second. I think Rocky Horror knew what they were making.
oh, definitely. They knew like from the top, this is just gonna be a wacky musical.
Hmm.
Um,
Where Tommy Wiseau
Tommy
very
Wiseau
purposely
was
tried to make a thing.
yeah, he was setting out to make a movie. That's that's the worst part.
Okay, so that makes sense, and I think anyone who has seen The Room understands the enjoyment, and I think part of the enjoyment of The Room is the cult part of the like
Yeah.
it's being the culture going to a live screening, like it is the Rocky Horror equivalent. I think The Room is an apt comparison. The next one on your list I find interesting is Sharknado.
Specifically the series.
Okay,
And the only reason I put it as like the series itself, we'll get into this later with the scary movies. Um, like the first one was bad,
Mhm.
and I don't think it knew, but then it became this like cult thing, and then they made what 6 of them,
Yeah, something like
like
that.
5 or 6. Um, and it took it to the place of there are now sharks on the moon, on space. I don't know if they ever went to Mars.
There were always sharks on the moon. You just never met the sharks on the moon.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're bad for like this is the perfect example of being bad for its own good. Like
Hmm.
it's terrible. People loved it because it was terrible, and now there's 5 more of them, which yeah,
Okay.
I don't like them. None of these movies I enjoy.
Oh, we're about to get. Well, don't worry. We'll get to one of my favorite shark movies in a minute here. So
Fighting with My Family, the weakest movie on this list.
what do you
Um,
enjoy in finding? Because the whole point of this talk in a fun way is finding things we enjoy about them. Where like I think we could, like that's so. What is it about Finding Family you enjoy besides seeing The Rock,
damn, it's The Rock.
which you saw for 2 scenes?
Yeah, actually, no. Another enjoyable part was seeing like Vince Vaughn showcase his like inherent love for this for wrestling. Like everybody that was in this movie, excuse me, short of I think the girl that played Paige. I
Right.
can't remember her name. Everybody in this movie likes wrestling. Like even though they may not be like Vince Vaughn, like Stephen Merchant totally has talked about it countless times. Goes to WrestleMania, if not every year, I think most years.
Hmm.
Obviously The Rock. I also loved how, since it's a Stephen Merchant joint,
Hmm.
either Nick Frost or Simon Pegg had to be in it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's the behind the scenes stuff that I like about this movie. It's not like this movie terrible. I will not defend it single cent. The
I don't
behind
know
the
if
scenes part of
terrible,
it,
but
I
like
will defend
it's
that
something.
like it's awesome. Like the fact that they got the people to do this.
Fighting with My Family. We've talked about this in a fun way in like our podcast stuff. But yeah, it is a film that I agree with you. There is enjoyable. I don't know if I disagree. There's enjoyable pieces. I just don't know if I would have agreed on a fun level. It fits the definition of what we were trying to talk about here. Is why I found it interesting.
Yeah, I mean like I wanted to pick one movie that was a little out there,
Hmm?
but
So
finally, every scary movie style parody.
okay. Besides the one from like 2014, that one just straight sucked.
I honestly didn't realize there was one from 2014.
It's like 2014 or 15. It's relatively like recent.
Like I'm talking about the stretch from like 2000 to I think it was '09.
Mm-hmm,
There was a stretch like they made parodies of everything.
mm-hmm.
These movies are so bad, but hilarious. I mean, the fact that Scary Movie took the slasher from, why am I blanking on the movie now? Scream.
Scream,
Yes. The fact that they took the baddie from Scream,
which
turned
already
it
was
into
a
this,
parody movie.
yeah, turned it into this like just hilarious, like just dude, like just ripping joints and having a blast. Um, and they showed what's wrong with camp horror movies,
Mm-hmm.
and they went on to like, I'm not gonna include like Not Another Teen Movie or like movies that kind of parodied the style. Like Scary Movie is very clearly, like that series are very clearly ripping off specific horror movies. What was the one that was like the rip off of 300 in Troy, and like that one was pretty good. Get on the name of them now. Like it's gonna bug
So
me, but
so keeping in this theme for a second, then do you? So obviously, I agree with you. Kind of these, I appreciate these kind of parody-esque films. Do you think there is? So obviously, you chose Scary because it's the genre everyone knows, and it's
yeah,
the one everyone knows. Is there one that you feel that like would not be on this list, or do you feel that most of these tend to have like a redeeming quality in them just because the nature of what they're doing? I'm not
sorry.
like Scary Movie. I think is
Oh, the first Scary Movie is one of the funniest. Just like takes you back to the late '90s,
hmm
and it's great.
and the reason I really think Scary Movie is a good example of this list is because Scary Movie I think is the most prominent and I think varies in quality a lot, but I think has the highest baseline of quality.
Yes, like the Scary Movie franchise, they never dip to the just awful.
hmm I don't know if I agree, but
Well, okay,
fundamentally,
maybe the new one, like
I think there's a baseline of fun there. It reminds me
yeah,
of like when you get to like medium tier SNL of like, okay, there's something here.
yeah, like that,
That's
like
very akin to what it is.
these never, like there's always something.
Right. You could find a segment of 20 minutes to enjoy, and the other ones are at least not painful. It's kind of what you're asking for in this
Yeah,
level, I think.
yeah,
Okay. Are you ready for the real reason I wanted to do this list?
sure.
So there's a reason. This segment I call the big green. And look, it's a brain. So yeah, here to talk about the greatest modern Ninja Turtles movie of all time, TMNT Out of the Shadows. So I'm gonna start. I understand the audience of this film, and I understand the size of this audience. But for my people and the people who appreciate this film, it's a fun and amazing film. So fundamentally, the reason I think this film is interesting to me, because obviously turtles are fundamentally a cultural icon of the 80s and the 90s. If we look at like their campiness, the way they show things, like the type of villains they have, right? Like that's
Yeah,
kind of like encompasses it. It feels like I took an 80s film and just shoved it into modern times in a lot of ways, in the way they go, no, we have a giant brain in a mech. We have Bebop and Rocksteady. We have these characters that, like, on a fundamental level, you would not approve for a Hollywood blockbuster budget. And like the first of these turtle movies was atrocious because they didn't understand the turtles. They made them look these weird these weird monsters. They fixed the looks here. They fixed the plot to a level of a turtles plot that we wanted, we understood, and I just think there's a lot of fun in this film of like even between the casting of like think about it like they have what is his name, Tyler Perry is freaking Dr. Baxter in this like the idea of who you cast in this film, absurd. And it just makes it this fun thing. Like Seamus is Rocksteady, like it's this fun actiony thing, campy as hell, but it's the turtles, and fundamentally, that is what we want from the great Ninja Turtles. Thank you, Michael Bay. So my next film we're here to talk about, AJ, I feel like we've talked about this inside, but we're here to talk about Santa Jaws, the best Christmas film.
I honestly don't remember talking about.
So Santa Jaws is okay. So obviously sci-fi has like their special, as we talked before, they have a love of sharks and lack of budget, right?
I don't know if they have a lack of budget.
Oh no
Like
no,
genuinely.
they have a lack of budget. Okay, so let me start by saying the obvious things. This is one of those films. But this film, I feel like the reason it does it differently is it still is the shark thing. It is still the campiness, but I find it very interesting in the sense of it's really fun and just the idea of like literally a kid gets a magic pen from like the wizard from Shazam looking guy, and literally he draws a thing out and he wishes like he angrily drew a shark with a thing and was like, I wish my family would die. So then literally a
Okay.
shark goes around through the water and goes around killing his family is basically the plot of this film on a fundamental level.
Sounds like a TV movie.
And like, can we just appreciate the actual poster that I put up here? Santa Jaws is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping, below you and you're awake.
He
He
sees you
knows
when you're
if you taste.
swimming.
Oh, my final pick for this discussion is table 19. Which AJ, can you just pull up this poster that you see right there and just look at this cast for a second?
Okay, so we got Stephen Merchant. We've
Yeah,
got I can't remember his name, but he's Doug Judy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Craig Robinson.
Is that Lisa Kudrow?
Yes.
I'm not sure who the old lady is. That's Anna Kendrick. And is that the guy from Grand Budapest?
I don't think so, but it could be. Those two I just didn't know. The other four I knew. Table 19. I'm gonna start by saying it might be the worst, second worst film on this list because it's no Fighting with My Family. Table 19, in its fundamental level, is literally a film where it's a wedding full of 19 tables, and they are the 19th table, which means they are, you can imagine. To put in perspective, I think it's like New and Aunt or something, like Craig Roberts and Lisa Kudrow, like neighbors. Anna Kendrick's like it's her ex-boyfriend that's getting married. Like it's this cast you can imagine how absurd it is. And the whole thing is just about the wedding and the emotional trauma of the wedding, and you get to see all of their random lives. So it's one of these films I like for the sake of I call it the moment in time film. So it's the
Okay,
fundamental idea that like you don't really care about the plot and the general thing, you care about the interactions with these people.
gotcha.
So it's the idea of like in like it's like a crappy sitcom where you don't care about the sitcom, you care about like when these two people are in a room together.
Yeah, the
It's one of those
characters.
types of it's one of
Gotcha.
those types of films. And again, I point to on a fundamental level, this film could best described as when the grandma who's on medical marijuana, which shows you the sign of the times, just pulls out and they all get high together and just talk about life. Like that's a scene in this film.
All right then.
So yeah, those are my picks for films that I don't know if objectively are great besides Ninja Turtles, but we all can find some enjoyment from.
Not a great day for Stephen Merchant.
But it is though, because we said his films are great.
Oh, one of them is.
I'm not even okay.
Oh,
So
I'm not saying Fighting with My Family's great.
so AJ, it's time for us to explain. What can you explain the name of this next segment?
Games are hard. Like Dark Souls hard.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm glad you've said the whole title. Would you please start us out, AJ, with some classic picks here.
Good bits don't make a good game. Like that's. I mean, I think you can say that about like everything in this is like good bits don't make a good game show.
Mm-hmm.
Battlefield 5
Mm-hmm.
still just
Which is
broken.
interesting because I think of our list, Battlefield 5 is the highest rate of any of the games that we're going to talk about.
Probably.
'Cause
Surprise me.
it's not a bad game on any objective level.
It's not good. Like, there's a lot of issues that Battlefield 5 has that coming from Like I played a ton of Battlefield 4, like
Mhm.
a lot of people did. Then Battlefield 1 was a change.
Mhm. Mhm.
Battlefield 5 was like, hey, we're gonna just basically reskin one
Mhm.
and not change anything. In fact, take features away.
I think the biggest complaint about Battlefield 5 was it felt like lighter Battlefield 4, which I think the bar was set so high, and that's why I say it's not a bad game. I agree in the series it's a weak game. It's my whole Call of Duty argument that if I take any Call of Duty in isolation, they're not bad games. It's you're comparing them to the past Call of Duty.
Oh no, I'm comparing this to past Battlefields, Call of Duties, action games in general.
Mhm.
Like Battlefield 4, obviously
Mhm.
with its a vast array of weapons, vehicles, even hardline vehicles, weapons, game types, the ability to do private servers, things like that. Like honestly, a lot of enjoyment from for me for Battlefield games is hopping into um, custom servers that are like either super high uh, tickets, so like it's 1,000 versus 1,000 instead of 200 versus 200, or it's changing things like the ability to do basically rocket jumps in Battlefield 4
Mhm.
was one of the things. First off, Battlefield 5 didn't have custom servers, still doesn't have custom servers, probably won't have custom servers.
Oh no, Battlefield 5 is.
Um, like there's a lot of things wrong with Battlefield 5, especially on the back end.
Mhm.
Um, but there is a redeeming feature,
Mhm.
and it's the redeeming feature of every Battlefield game.
Mhm.
It looks amazing.
That's good. When in doubt, that is the right
When in
answer.
doubt, Frostbite.
Okay, AJ, so that
Yeah.
this is the like bar we started at. Can we drop down a few bars now and explain the next game on your list?
We talking pre-Kiwami Yakuza 1?
Of course we are.
Okay, so the good bit in this game is the fact that they had an A-list English voice acting cast. Mark Hamill's in it, like just basically every big voice actor from the early 2000s did a
Mhm.
voice in this. The problem is this is still like pre-great translation for Japanese games. Also,
Mhm.
the Yakuza games just weren't good.
Mhm.
Like, if we're being honest, the Yakuza games are until 5 pretty weak. Like, they had interesting stories, but they're pretty weak. But like, yeah, there's a lot of just weird Japaneseisms that um, the Yakuza games still have, but
Mhm.
they've gotten a little better at describing why. Um, but yeah, Yakuza 1, like Yakuza's never had great controls. Still
Mhm.
to this day, doesn't have great controls. So, there's just a bunch of issues with it. And it came to the States, and the pacing for the voice acting was off. The translation was off.
Mhm.
Just a lot of things that were just off about it. It wasn't a great introduction into what has become a very good series.
Perfect. Now, AJ, there is one more game you have on this list that, or series that you have on this list that
It's a
we are
little
just
more open.
we are just gonna asterisk saying when we say the good part of the thing, we're just not gonna list last year's game. We're just gonna put a giant AJ, I want a giant X on the screen. Like I want you to take the poster of last year's game, put like a giant X and say no, and then we're gonna like
Or
shove it to the
18,
side.
or 17.
They were well, no, they were
16 was
different types.
okay.
They were different types of acceptable. There are lines here of
Yeah.
last year's wrestling versus any other year. Like those are different lines. I understand them saying the quality was always super high, but like they worked in mostly.
Yeah. So the WWE 2K series. This is specifically post THQ
Mhm.
and
Well,
post
that's the 2K part.
post 2K, was it 14 was the
That sounds
was
right.
it
'Cause I think it took a
13?
year off. I thought it was the year off in between.
No, because one of them was like just a rebranded THQ
Mm.
game, and so that's why I wanted to be specific. Of like
Mhm.
this is solely under 2K. This is
Mhm.
not the THQ character
Mhm.
because that was actually pretty good. Um,
So let's start with the obvious here, right?
yeah.
So obviously, I would argue if you're not a fan of wrestling, I think there's very little in these games.
Eh, like the interesting thing about them has always been if you're not into wrestling, action suite.
So yes, but I personally think part of the fun part of these games on a fundamental level is I think the entrances are like fundamentally fun, and then I think it's you get to see your dream matches or matches you want to see that are not practical, and I think that's partially you don't have that emotional tie to it if you're not a fan of the base products.
Oh, I was talking more like character creation,
Yeah, and I don't know if I
like just
think
creating
that's
monsters.
and I agree with you, that's fun, but I think you have to have a base care of the base thing to care about the character creation part on this.
Yeah, I would say you need if you're especially if you're playing it with friends, you need one friend that's into it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else could just be in it to just make monsters.
Do anything? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, the cool thing about these, this is the one time I'll call wrestling a true sport. The one thing about these sports games that are really cool is you can create dream matchups.
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
lot of these games, like if we go back, Madden hasn't done it past few years. But MLB The Show does it, NBA does it, where they have these like all-star teams
Mm-hmm.
or like historically significant teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for instance, you could pit the 2004 Boston Red Sox against the
98 Bulls.
no, uh, the if you want to go 90, we'll go 97 Yankees. Um, or yeah, the 98 Bulls against the 2019 Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
It's better. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is LeBron better than MJ?
Mm-hmm.
I would say yes, but that's a completely different argument. That's one for. Okay. Um, but with 2K, you could take like you could do matchups that never happened. You can do the Undertaker versus Sting. Never happened,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. You could do The Rock versus Sting. Happened. That's what I like Sting. um, like his career was sadly cut short. He's not dead. He broke his back.
Oof.
Um, nasty accident. Um, so yeah, like you can do a lot of cool things with these games. Create monsters. You can create matchups. You could have Bret Hart wrestle CM Punk,
Mm-hmm.
which in theory would be an amazing, amazing match.
But you only again though, this goes back to the fundamental question of you can only see it here if you care
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
foundation.
That a lot of that stuff is if you're wrestling fans. You do not have to be a wrestling fan to enjoy just the sheer ineptitude of these games.
Mm-hmm.
You would think with a company like 2K and Ukes
Mm-hmm.
developing Ukes developing, and then obviously 2K publishing, that they would be able to produce solid, working. We'll just go with working, not even solid, working games.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I think it's gotten so bad that that's part of the reason why there's not going to be a WWE this year.
Yeah. So that is true. So now AJ, we get to jump now. So this is going to be I'm going to keep this part PG because
We're
you'll
we're jumping to one of my favorite games.
Oh, you actually serious? I didn't know this.
Yes, I love this game.
Okay, so we're here to talk about. Let's talk about the color purple. Can I please have some Purple Rain coming down and just playing Purple Rain by Prince in the background, AJ?
We
Thank you,
can't
future AJ.
because this is going to be on Twitch.
Can you at least do the fluttering of the purple from this guy?
No.
Thank you. Okay, So yeah, we're talking about purple. We're talking about Saints Row the Third. I believe this is the game that was so good. THQ just retired after that, said we're done. We made a perfect product.
Actually, they should have.
That
Like,
would have been it.
THQ should have just literally dropped to the mic, said like Saints Row the Third is our final game, and just
So
went off in the sunset.
so as I was saying, let's get this out of the way. Yes, this is the game with the giant purple baseball bat, right? So remember, we said
Phallus.
Peachy. And at no point am I gonna say a Saints Row game is amazing, but like it's amazing, right? The reason I like this game on a fundamental level is it feels like we took some capacity of a wrestling plotline but made it a video game. And I'm not talking about just how there literally is a wrestling plotline in this video game. That's also fun, right? Foundationally, though, I think this game can be summed up perfectly in when the world is ending in one of the endings with giant stuff falling from the sky and you hop in the car and it just plays I Need a Hero, which I didn't realize was a scripted thing. I thought was just naturally the radio station was playing it the first time while you're driving out to go save the world. But fundamentally, I think what's great about Saints Row the Third, even
Aren't
though
you
it
going to
has,
save Burt Reynolds?
of course you are.
That was the mayor.
Right. But like, so what's fundamentally interesting about I think this game specifically, and I think I choose this game because obviously it's Saints Row Second or Saints Row Third. It's like the fight for like what is the better game. I think Saints Row the Third holds up better. Obviously it's sold better. I think what is interesting about it is it goes to the notion of how you introduce like characters. Its plot is actually surprisingly dense, and it understands what makes an open world game fun, and I think this is where the Saints Row GTA fight, and this is the game that kind of separated it perfectly. Is GTA becomes this gritty, semi-realistic. Saints Row goes, nah, screw that. You want to play in the Twister helicopter? We got one of those. You want to shoot laser beams? We got one of those. You want to upgrade that gives you unlimited ammo? I don't care. Like that's just this game just goes. Let's get this out of the window. We're a video game. Just do whatever we want to have fun and go cause giant messes.
Yeah, it's been funny because Saints Row and GTA 4 came out, if not in the same year, very close.
And at the time, Saints Row was literally a GTA game.
Yeah.
And like in
Yeah,
it's what
especially
it's
the
trying to
first
be.
one.
Even the second one, I think, was still trying to. I think it lasts so, but I think by the time we get to the third, it just gave up on that fight.
Yeah, the third is where it separates. And now the fact that there's no more Saints Row and GTA 5, especially online, is becoming Saints Row
Hmm.
with laser weapons, flying cars, like aliens. It goes to show, like, maybe THQ had a point.
Like, and this was interesting because again, I think so. I think like the driving's really fun in this game, but like no one's gonna defend the shooting on a fundamental level in this game, or no one's gonna defend like obviously you could argue it's very immature at points. Like I understand it's a time, it's a place, it's questionable what you can and can't get away with, but I think it's just broadly fun. And I think this is why when we look at a game that we define as not great but fun, this is a prime example of there's an essence there that is just this idea of fun.
Was this the game that kicked off the Australian censorship board? Like,
I think this
really
was
looking into games?
yeah, this was like the fight.
Because I don't believe South Park was out yet.
No.
That was 13. So yeah, this is like the first game that literally pushed the envelope, like
Hmm.
into the over the line to, hey, censorship boards. We have a large phallic object that you beat people with.
Hmm.
We have a phallic object that launches people. All of our female characters are extremely sexualized.
Hmm.
In fact, you can have a naked character in this game. It does censor that.
Which AJ do not show that right here, please.
Now, obviously, like I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing.
I'm glad he can't see this video. Anyway, yeah. So now we're gonna jump to. I have one more game to talk
It
about.
says that, but I'll be editing this, so I will see the video.
I have one more game I think we need to talk about on my list here, and again my title for this section is Giant Robots from the 1980s, and we're here to talk about what I argue is the best Transformers game, probably period. It's Transformers Fall of Cybertron, which is there's this 3 Cybertron series that Activision made by High Moon Studios in the mid-aughts and early aughts, and it's literally just go around playing Transformers. I think what I like about this game on a fundamental level is it works. Like it feels so. The idea of when you say what is a Transformer, what we like about Transformers, it's not the Michael Bay movies, right? We like the
Uh,
cultural, but okay, but the cultural like of Transformers, of like when we say quality, right? Or you put quality of Transformers, you don't put those
yeah.
movies, and because those movies are like we spent a ton of money just to have them beat each other for 2 scenes and care about the humans. Transformers fundamentally is the robots acting like humans. This is the misconception of, I'd argue, this on a fundamental level, and this game gets that. This game is repetitive. This game has actual like issues on a balance point of view, and this is why I go it's not the best game. But it's fun. It understands you're beating each other with giant robots. Treat it like such. It makes transforming them fun because you can do that mid combat, and there's combos for that reason to do that. It is outrageous. It's really like the definition of an 80s themed game in the sense of like, what is the mission at hand? You're fighting for Cybertron. Like, it's this comical thing of that. But it again foundationally understands the what do you care about? I care about beating other robots with giant robots.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you have a
Was
problem with
this
big
the
robots?
was this the series that like effectively killed the Transformers video game?
Yeah, so what it was is you had I'm gonna get it wrong. I think it's War of Cybertron and then Fall of Cybertron, or vice versa. Don't hold me on that. And then you had the third one, which basically was not a rip-off of the movies, but they totally made it feel like a movie game, and that's kind of what the series kind of tanked. It was like 2014 or 2015
I was gonna say that the final whatever like
is the one that killed it because it
yeah.
wasn't this. The first two were like these high-polished single-player experiences that you could tell they spent money on. Where the third one, they kind of like they had Transformers spin-off games tied to the movies, and so like the third one wasn't that, but they totally felt like they made it to line up with the movie.
That's yeah. It's always tough when you have a property that becomes a movie.
That you have, it's like see, but like Batman did it right, and we're not going to talk about Batman in a broader form because they are fundamentally good games.
Yeah.
But it's the same idea of Batman found a way of tying it to you to a movie, but not tying you to a movie. With Transformers, I think tried this in the beginning with these, and I think lost it very quickly.
All right. You know what else we lost very quickly?
What's that?
Good TV, especially in the 2000s.
Oh my god. So yeah, section for the section as we put it is not safe for TV. Maybe on cable though.
So, talking about being not safe for TV, it's called the race to the bottom.
First off,
Yeah.
how dare you put burn notice on this?
Because, do we want to be honest? The first season looks terrible. The plot lines are terrible, and it just wasn't a good show. I will give it its credit; it got better.
I was gonna say because burn notice very much is one of those shows that like people talk about. I feel like once in a while.
People talk about it when it made it split
Hmm.
from whatever network it was on to it went to a different. I've only seen it on streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of which one it was, so I just went with the standard streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think people talk about maybe the Switch, right? Like, it got better.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about how just such of a ripoff of like the early 2000s cop dramas, where we had shows like The Shield, 24, Law and Order SVU. Like, Burn Notice tried to copy some of those shows, but didn't get what made them great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, what doesn't get why it's great is WWE programming.
Whoa, whoa. I'm not.
I was
So
gonna
so
say you're gonna defend them.
so here's why I find it interesting, right? On the level of kind of like so NASCAR. I'm gonna question you in a second too.
Yeah.
Reality competition. I understand like where we put this is, and we'll get to my pick in a minute too. Of fundamentally, the reason like those are on here is because their purposeful bar is the dumb but fun, I call it. Where WWE, I feel like it's different in the sense of, especially if you broadly say WWE programming is, that's such a broad swath of things. I feel like it's an unfair to compare their documentaries to the weekly shows to like WrestleMania. Like I understand they're all part of the same company and some product line, but I feel like the broadness of what you're saying there just makes me question it a lot more.
So its programming has gotten better.
Mhm.
Just like if we take programming as a broad term, because they've introduced the 24 and the 365 and some of the documentaries.
Mhm.
That's been in the past like 4 years.
Right.
If we take that out, this is literally a race to the bottom for WWE, where on TV we're having bra and panty matches, strip teases, like a literal race to the bottom. Um, and it's because they've had competition. Like, and when your company is based on a circus act,
Mhm.
you just got to get zanier.
Mhm.
And WWE has fallen into that trap.
Mhm.
They've
No,
fallen into the trap that they set 15 years ago to try to stop any competition.
and the issue is when the competition shows up, I feel like, especially now is the moment where WD needed to get their bootstraps going, and Corona hit then, and then now we're seeing kind of like the ultimate version of what is your talent beyond the crowd, and that is 100% WD. WD is in power because the crowd let it in power, is what we've seen.
Yeah. Also, the fact that they had a lot of these networks by the scruff of the neck, which rumors are that WWE is selling to the networks, like
Hmm.
literally selling not just the show company to the networks.
Hmm.
That could be real interesting. But yeah, like also race to the bottom. I put NASCAR. I really wanted to put more of just motorsports in general.
So this is interesting to me again because, in the sense of, I don't find it. This is where like I wouldn't put sports on here because it's not traditional entertainment in that sense of like how it's scripted, how it happens. Even reality TV, where it's purposely unscripted but forcefully dramatic.
So you and I are both kids of the '90s.
Well, we were born in the '90s, yes.
We're kids of the '90s. Like if
Hmm.
we're being realistic, you more so than me were raised by '90s TV.
Right, because of reruns, yes.
Yeah. The most popular NASCAR has ever been, ever, starting from 48 till 2020. The most popular NASCAR ever was when you and I were between 5 and 10.
Oh, I remember my dad would sit down on Saturday. He'd have the thing. He'd have the thing of like the metal bowls that every parent had.
Yeah.
But he'd have it full of peanuts, and he'd
Yeah.
just be sitting there chewing that peanut and spin the shell back in. That'd be a Saturday.
Sunday.
Or whatever day NASCAR. I remember specifically it'd be that image of like him in the green chair, like
Yeah.
leaning back, just watching it. But he didn't like commercials on live TV, and this is true for football too, by the way. So you'd have the radio next to his ear with the announcers from the radio because he liked those better. So the TV was on mute.
Nice.
Like that, it was an image.
Yeah. So we're at least for me, I'm going to get into really why motorsports in general has taken a huge downturn since then.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, and its reasoning is good in terms of overall health.
mhm,
Um, you and subsequently the U.S. banned tobacco advertising.
mhm.
So, like a lot of these teams and a lot of these events were tobacco fun. Like,
Right.
there's no way of getting around it. It was called the Winston Cup. Like,
Mhm,
had take your pick: Marlboro, Winston, uh, Skoal. Like every cigarette or tobacco brand had a car, had
mhm,
multiple cars. Formula One, same thing. Um,
mhm,
and as that money left, a lot of what made it fun left. Like the parties were dying. Like there were none of these giant parties thrown by Winston at NASCAR races
mhm.
because they couldn't advertise. So they figured, well, we're not going to put any money into this. Why should we? and interest dried up. A lot of people that were in it for the fun left,
Mhm.
and NASCAR has seen their ratings just slide. Like,
Mhm.
they've tried everything, nothing has worked. Formula One has tried everything, found a few things that worked, um, but a lot of motorsport has seen this, and unfortunately, the TV product has faltered because of that. So we don't get. It's like NASCAR is, when it comes down to it, especially when you're watching it on TV, because you're taking commercial breaks. Like, a lot of what makes NASCAR interesting from a driver and a chief and things like that, their perspective is the strategy of, yes, it's 500 miles, but it's okay. How are we planning things?
Mhm.
Um, which, when there's not the fun stuff to watch during commercials or the personalities, that's another thing. Like, unfortunately, NASCAR's gotten mainstream, so we don't get the fun personalities, and like,
Mhm.
a lot of those personalities have left and now are either in TV or doing their own thing. We don't get the fun battles between like Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon at Atlanta. Now we get Jeff Gordon on TV. We don't get Dale Jr. hanging out of his Budweiser car. Now we get him talking about his car on podcasts. And you take personality out of racing. It's just
Mhm.
like, you need the desire to storylines, right? Storylines drive everything. It's why reality TV is on here, because they force storylines. But when you have natural storylines come out of these characters being themselves, right? Like, a lot of these people are like, since the tobacco money left, they can't have these fun characters because they need people that are PR acceptable,
Mhm.
that can get sponsorships, that can bring the money back. So, unfortunately, it's not good old boys hooting and hollering and throwing punches, because, you know, uh, Lowe's doesn't want to see their driver get out of his car and just deck a dude.
Obviously.
So, a lot of the characters left, unfortunately. But where a lot of the character is now, rather unfortunately, because the production is horrendous, is reality competitions.
Mhm. So I'm gonna say we hold reality competitions for a second because I think
Okay.
I'm gonna get to the foundation reality competitions in a minute on that one.
Okay. So,
So now it's time. Let's talk about the show from 2000s that we all forget exists. We met the great Zachary Levi from the show. His name is Chuck.
I'm just a dude.
Let's foundationally start this. Yes, this is where we all met Zachary Levi. Chuck is not great. I'm not gonna sit here and grade. I'm not even sure which people think it's amazing, but there are those people. During its 5-season run, it was questionable, but it was really fun. And this is the foundation of what we're talking about here, right? This is the crux of the show. A normal person gets email and just gets their brain hacked with everything imaginable. The way I describe it, it's like take the spy part of My Name Is Earl, but like lower the budget even more, and replace everyone who was Hicks with like nerds and some spies. And that is this show and its foundation. Not great. Um,
So
questionable
you're telling
even
me
for
Chuck? You're telling me
2000
Chuck
streaming.
is the reason we have Limits and Wanted and
In a lot of ways, I don't know.
Lucy,
I think
Focus, and
I think like in a lot of ways, like I don't think so directly, but like totally from a
yeah.
cultural point of view, that this opened the doors for those type of things, and Chuck did okay ratings. Like it totally opened those doors for directors or writers or producers or film studios to be like, huh, maybe people will accept this type of premise.
Okay. So I honestly have never seen like a full episode of Chuck.
Okay.
Partially because I just wasn't into TV. Like on the
Mhm.
podcast, I have this personality of just wasn't, as Mike likes to say, uncultured as a child.
Uncultured swine.
Um, in reality, I just wasn't big into a lot of like. If I was watching something on TV, it was
Mhm.
either sports, it was
Mhm.
either football, baseball, hockey, basketball, or it was car stuff. It
Mhm.
was car shows. It was racing. It was motocross, motorcycle stuff like that. Like, so I wasn't watching a ton of these. Like, I've never watched a full episode of Scrubs. I've never watched Chuck. I've never watched The Office. The only reason I haven't watched The Office is the clips that I've seen are cringe humor, and I can't stand that. So, uh, that's why Mike likes to call me uncultured. I just am not into the humor that he is into.
Mhm.
Continue.
Um, so now we get to do the social media time. As I call this segment, social media is quote unquote king. So we're here to talk about specifically the show in which AJ, I know every time I mention it, it dies a little bit inside, and because we're close to blocking my number, The Circle. So let's talk about The Circle, right, on the fundamental level. The Circle is really this very interesting thing because it was Netflix, everyone questioning their really line in reality TV at the time. So Circle, the unique pitch about The Circle is you take a bunch of 20 somethings, lock them each in their individual one bedroom apartment. They have no communication outside world. All they have is an app that they talk to other people. That's it. What I find interesting about it is it takes the idea of like obviously shows like Catfish or any, like Big Brother, any of the reality shows, but you segment it out into the point of anyone can be anyone, and because they don't see them in person, the lying is very interesting because like it's not like a in the moment you lied. It's a you could think about you lying, you could think about it. Their segment comes out, and I think at the end of the show, it's interesting that because just in real in this scenario, the bulk of people actually were telling the truth and being honest. At the end, you saw like an actual connection of people in the show that I don't think you'd expect to happen from the nature of when you meet these characters and like how the show is going. You wouldn't expect like real connections to happen in the way it does.
So this show is like Survivor circa its second or third season.
Yeah, well, like it feels genuine. I don't think 5 seasons from now the show is gonna feel genuine, but like right now it felt very genuine.
I feel like I would dominate at that. I could just convince people to do whatever I wanted. Because as Mike knows, I can be very persuading over just text.
Hmm.
But I mean, like, so this has the same, I'm guessing, same quote unquote problem that reality TV I mentioned has. In that there's storylines
Hmm.
and then there's forced storyline.
But hear me out though. This one, so the way you force storyline in this is obviously they watch what edit, right?
Yeah.
But like on a fundamental level, they have like events that happen. So like they'll have stuff like, okay, now we're gonna do an online trivia night, or they're gonna do like they get a bunch of supplies at the door, and now they have to like do a painting really quick. And then obviously it's the storyline is them painting it in the chat around them painting it. But I think it's a lot harder to force a storyline in the civic way because it's up to the individual to go figure out who they're talking with and stuff in a more like have to be like, hey, circle, go talk to this person, not like, oh, I'm walking into this person.
Yeah.
So there's no subtle way to slide in DMs in the show just because the logistical side of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you can, right? Like forced storylines was more of like you mentioned, edited storylines.
Mm.
Um,
Like obviously, I'm not saying they didn't do editing here,
right.
but like by all accounts, from the production point of view, actually they did not force the things that happened.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what made Survivor great in its first 3 seasons. When people were still like not quite sure what it was,
Hmm.
and they still had relatively normal people. They weren't all models.
Hmm.
Like that's what made Survivor fun. Then it became too much of a, oh well, everybody on here is just a model and like maybe one normal person.
Right, and that I think that is totally when these shows break, is when you lose the, like, the normalness of it. And I don't know if normalness obviously is selective, but, like, normalness in the sense of, like, "Oh, I know these people," like, and, like, I know people who are like these people.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me at least, singing competitions count in this. Like,
And I think singing competitions, again, I think you have moments where they can be
yeah.
fun.
Oh, definitely. Without American Idol, we would never have Dance on the Ground. We would never have Sanjay. We would never have, take your pick. Like the craziness of these singing competitions. But in the same breath, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, they're good singers. Like, nothing's ever gonna happen to them,
Mhm,
unfortunately, right? Like, what I can think of, like three winners of American Idol off the top of my head that actually made it, and
mhm,
like that's the sad part about them. Um, the one reality show that I will defend almost to the grave, not all the way, because I'll never defend anything, is Amazing Race,
mhm,
because honestly, you can't force a lot of that stuff. Like okay, you could get, you could figure out, okay, this task should take 2.5 hours,
mhm,
and then the commute should take an hour and a half. Okay, so you're at 4 hours. So if we make their uh, flight available for them roughly, 4.5, 5 hours out,
mhm,
like you can force a little bit of that there. But I mean, you can't force people just being terrible navigators. You can't force people being just horrendous hand-eye coordination. Like,
mhm,
the thing that makes that show great is seeing regular people.
mhm,
Reality TV has strayed from the quote regular person,
mhm,
and they've attracted the crazy person or the professional model.
mhm,
Now, the crazy person works great when they're around models because the crazy person just does whatever, does not care. The model is thinking about, oh, how is this going to affect my TV?
mhm,
I hate it when people, which is why
mhm,
The Amazing Race is great. You just get people that are just like, oh, I thought this was, or they don't understand the language. My favorite part about the show is whenever you go into a foreign country and nobody either understands English or understands the language that is, the local language.
mhm,
And it makes it hilarious.
mhm.
So, yeah, I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe that's it.
Yeah, so on this last page, let's go through it. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us for our digital MomoCon panel. I believe they call it MomoCon online or whatever. AJ's
It's
gonna add.
it's MomoCon line.
Perfect. I'm glad you did your homework. You think I would have?
They
Oh,
sent an email out earlier this morning. That's how I know.
yeah, I saw that too. We hope you enjoyed our ranting. Maybe you learned some great entertainment. Isn't always that great, but it's fun, right? And that's kind of the whole point, especially doing right now. It's the whole thing is find enjoyment in stuff that's not always amazing. Remember, if you want more of this, we host some version of the SWW show every Friday on podcast services around the globe. You know what's really nice? Just scan that QR code you'll see on your screen right now, and it's gonna pop up right on your phone. But yeah, otherwise, remember, if you're bored otherwise, follow us on Twitter. All that's listed there too, and I'm just gonna make that look nice and fancy. I was Mike. That there is AJ. Remember, AJ is from Detroit, Michigan, and you always have to
No, I'm
tell
not.
him he's from Detroit, Michigan. But yeah, thank you all.
Mike is from Chicago. He will always be from Chicago, no matter how much Floribama he's in right now.
but yeah, but yeah, thanks guys for joining us for this fun ranting segment. Best of luck out there in the world, and remember, I guess wear your face masks. Stay 6 to 12 feet apart, just for safekeeping. That's just in general. I don't know about the pandemic. I was just saying, stay away from people, like just normally. Um, I believe that's everything. AJ, I'm gonna go try to experience the outside. So if you never hear from me again, that's why.
And on that day, Mike got coronavirus and dropped dead. Bye, everyone.